Welcome. I am so happy that you're here. I am Sara Robledo, and I am very excited to have a special guest here today, a wonderful friend, and also a very, very dear person in my heart because she is my master teacher who I got certified with. This is the amazing Claudia Montero, the first Alexander teacher certified in, well, the first Mexican to be certified as an Alexander teacher. And I am the first Mexican to be certified in the Mexican Alexander Technique School. So welcome, Claudia Montero. Thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful to see you.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. It's always nice to talk with you and to share ideas and to share what we've been doing and how we view things. It's always enriching.
Yes.
I think for me at least, and I'm very glad to share with more people. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
So good. So we were thinking of habits because I think the Alexander technique has a very special perspective on habits. And it seems like a hot topic right now, talking about how to change and improve your habits. So, the overarching theme that we want to talk about are habits, but then we thought of doing it in something related to our daily life, which is how we eat and drink. So I have my tea over here. So what do you think, Claudia? Should we talk about this?
Yes, there's so many. Well, I think probably I would like to say something general about habits, because what you said, that it's like a trend to, sorry, to like habits. It sounds to me many times that it's as people talk about them as if they were bad. So I think from now my perspective about the Alexander technique, it's to generate well-being. It has to be also like fluid, like not very strict, rigid. And so I think there's like habits are good, and many habits for the brain, like it needs to, like what can do solve it fast, and because it deals with everything, so it's good to have things like done automatically. And there are good habits and bad habits, you could say. Everybody knows that smoking is not healthy. And probably you might think that doing exercise and playing an instrument is a good habit. But if you do it with the wrong use, here's like, as we know in the Alexander technique, everything is interconnected. So inevitably, we are going to talk about a little bit about other things. So you can have good habits with bad use, and then they're not healthy. And probably for some reasons, at some point you have to do something that it might not be the best thing to do in that moment, like sitting in on bad chair, like cleaning if the chair is bad, but it's the one that you have. Or if you're invited, talking about eating, no? For example, probably you have a more a healthier diet, and you invited somebody that has not much to offer you and offers you something that you think is not the best for you. It might be worse to tell them, oh no, I don't eat meat, or I don't eat whatever, So I think it's like we're alive and changing, and so that's something. And also I think that with the Alexander technique, it's always valuable to, or as I see it, to revisit your habits, like it's not like that's the habit and I'm not that's it, and I'm not moving. As I said, life changes, one changes, and so you have to be, as part of the work on oneself with Alexander Technique and with many other disciplines, you have to keep watching yourself, reevaluating and considering what's happening with you. You might change, and for example, not eating meat might be good for some people, but might be not good for other people. It's really, you need animal protein because of your metabolism of whatever. So if you feel like you decided I'm being vegetarian, and then you feel you're not feeling well, then you might reevaluate or whatever. I mean, it was just an idea that came to me, but it's very important. The main thing is to keep observing oneself, and
Thank
adjust.
So I'm want to reflect back on a few of the things that you mentioned right now that I think are very useful. One is not necessarily think of good and bad habits. I think I read recently the idea of constructive or destructive habits, and I like that way of thinking about habits. And then now that you're talking about, for example, habits around, my idea of being vegetarian, and that's something healthy, and but being flexible, having a less rigid attitude towards things. I think that is also like a really beautiful thing that you just shared, giving us permission to change our mind about some habits. And then the other thing that might seem obvious to everybody, but I just
I'm
want
going to plug my computer. So
go for it. I just wanted to mention, which is, to just notice that habits are not only things we're doing, but we have habits in the way we think, for example, right? And that's like the beautiful thing about the Alexander technique, that it doesn't see those things as separate, and that it gives a lot of weight and importance to those thought patterns, the way we're thinking, the habitual ways of thinking. I don't know if there's anything around that you want to mention or add.
yes, certainly. For one, I find the Alexander technique has been life-saving, health, mentally and emotionally. To observe and decide. This aspect of the Alexander technique, the inhibition, to stop and just for a moment and decide, like, to regain your ability, your birthright to choose. To stop being as a trap in your habits. So I feel for me now, that part is very, very important. And I think many of the postural habits might be influenced, might change. It was also start from within, going outwards. Both ways, as we know, we are whole being, united, but you have to also watch yourself inside, what triggers you, this existential or this how to say, desanimo, sorry,
Giving up attitude,
like sadness or not energy. Probably ideas about yourself, about the world, about many things, and so you can choose. At some points, I notice in myself, for example, that this little moment when I see I can do something silly or choose something different, or silly in the way of grouching and keep this and that, poor me, whatever, or get hysterical,
So just to, because people might not quite understand, I think
Sorry.
there's a definition of stress that I think might make this clear.
Yeah.
So, we think, oh, my work is stressful. My boss, stresses me out. The traffic in Mexico City is stressful, but our perspective is that those things in and of itself are not stressful. It's our response, the way we respond to those stimulus. And the beautiful thing that we have is that we can actually choose how we respond to the stimulus. So I remember, you always mentioning being in the subway, right? In Mexico City, it gets packed. And then you choose to be present with yourself in a different way, even in the crowded Mexico City subway. So I think that example makes it clear what
Yes.
what you mean.
Yes. For example, I tell my students, I was going to work with this youth orchestra, and I choose to go on the metro because it's more efficient. It's faster with all its bad things with overcrowding and that. So I have a car. I could go driving, but it's better for me, not the same. All the less, that to drive. To go down on the metro. So I choose. So then it would be crazy if I got angry because there's a lot of people. I chose to travel by metro, and then it's an opportunity. That's something I have come to to have closer to myself. That these events or these difficulties, like this that's a minor one for me, and others that are more intense or harder, deeper. There are opportunities for you to work on yourself, to watch your habits, and to choose again, if there's a difficult situation, and you can really stop and observe yourself and see what's going on and choose what's the healthier opportunity or action, and
Yes.
choice. We have choice. That's something good, like it's not like as I say, Greek tragedy, like the Oraculo de Delphos said, and
Right. Yes.
you have choice. Might not be so clear sometimes, but we have choice. There's a choice, and as you said, like this event, like the overcrowding at peak hours in Mexico. That's it. So I want to
we
be
have
in
so
Mexico.
much choice, and we have so much choice
Yeah.
of the meaning we make of things. And yes, absolutely. Yeah, I wonder, Claudia, if we could now move to talking about habits in relationship to when we are sitting at a table and eating. I think now it might make more sense now if we transition to that theme. And just as a little anecdote as to why I thought of doing this was, there's, just this anecdote of, a bunch of the Mexican Alexander teachers going out for lunch, and everybody kind of staring because everybody's, keeping their backs nice and long as they're eating their soup. And so, I just thought, oh, it would be so much fun to actually take a moment to focus on, what is the Alexander perspective on drinking, eating, and what tips do you have? How do you work with people around this daily activity?
Well, again, it's a very good opportunity to watch yourself. There's the physical. It's, as I said, everything is psychophysical, mental, emotional, physical. So what's going on with me while I'm eating? How's my spine, and also how's my mental and emotional attitude? So we can start with what you mentioned, like with the spine, the alignment, what you did at the beginning,
So what would you tell somebody who is like, yes, teacher, let me go drink a little bit of tea. What would you, if I was in class with you, how would you help me?
I would just say stop for a while. Stop drinking a bit for a while. Put your arms down, your hands down, and go back to yourself. In your spine, think of it like the head light, like if it was a hot air balloon. And then think like from your head, like if you had a tail or something, your spine going up and down at the same time. Think of your feet. It's always very important when eating, all the time that you're using your hands sitting at a table or sitting at the desk or whatever, to have your feet well grounded, your knees in the right angle, and then your femur and your pelvis also in right angle as much as you can. Again, it's not like you're going to be condemned if you're not, but try to be at the edge of the chair, and then that on itself helps to organize the spine, the torso, the whole torso. And then, as I said, the spine is the queen, so everything comes to her. And if she has to go, then it comes to her. And then, as you have mentioned in other classes, there's a joint here. So you can, if you need to drink the last sip, then you go, like the chin goes up and the occipital bone goes down. It's like a seesaw game, so then it just goes gently up and down, and that's it. And then, for example, if you are going to eat soup or tacos with lots of cream, then you come forward, the whole of the spine, with your side, with the head.
Can you bring the camera down a little bit so we can see a little more of your torso?
Yeah. So then from here to the hip joint here, and then you come forward, and you can drink your soup nicely, It's really nicer than to eat like this, or taking the mouth to the soup,
So you are
that's
allowed to come forward, right? I mean, you're allowed to do anything, but it's okay. It's fine to come forward as long as you keep that, integrity of the spine.
Mhm. So it helps also like to think during, again, like this engaining of the Alexander technique. I'm not going to eat the soup, I'm sort of, you're being eaten by the soup, So I am in control of the soup, it's nice. I feel it's nice to play nicely, it's not that I'm better than anyone else. It's just for myself, and then you have a back, the head, so you think like coming back and up to go back and down, a little bit forward, so, but do you remind yourself, it's like a little curve. You come back and up, and then you lean forward, not down, sorry, just forward and up, but you keep the idea of back, so I don't know, that's, just the beginning, little ideas to start reminding yourself, and
Yes.
and then also the other part of, like how do you receive the food, this mental and emotional part. Thank you. I think a lot of this gratitude, we have nice food, we have food. So, as I said, there's the other aspect of mental and emotional habits towards food, that I've seen, well, we tend to watch people a lot because that's our, but respectfully, but that gives information about ourselves. That's what I do, when something strikes calls my attention, then I say, what am I doing now? What am I thinking now? So it's for me also, you know. But I've seen people like complaining that the food is too salty, to this, to that, you know, and so we're lucky, we're blessed, you know, we could be very grateful that we have something to eat, you know. And that's something, the way you prepare things also, I've seen people complaining about having to prepare food. Well, so I try now, as I see the Alexander technique, and I work with young people a lot, so a lot of young people, and so I think it's very formative, you know, and to remind ourselves and the people we are with to be grateful, to be joyful about, you know, what we have, and for example, the music school, you know, like all the students and all the teachers we are there, we are doing what we love, so there's a lot to celebrate, you know, and so in food as well, you know, like this respectfulness for the food, you know, the people that produce it, and so there's many things to again, or I try also like to as a exercise, you know, like to eat things that I say I don't like, and then I get I didn't like it. There's been lots of surprises, you know, that so it's something gentle to remind yourself to stop and try again and decide, you know, if you like it or not. There are things that I said I didn't like at all, and then I said I actually like them. Others that I said I don't like them, but I could eat them, and others that definitely I still don't like, and I don't think I'm going to like strong flavors or whatever, you know. So that's interesting. I think it's like a opportunity to stop and try again, and you know, like decide and to choose and to, as I said, you know, like discover things that you thought you didn't like and you like, or confirm, and it's fine. But it's interesting. It's fun, you know.
Oh, what a nice
Mhm.
practice. I hadn't thought of that, but it makes me think of how important being willing to try new things is to keeping your spirit youthful. And that once you make a decision, you know, I'm a certain way, I only like certain things, it's a way of starting to become fixed, right? And fixed thoughts are, you know, going to be related to fixed posture, and what we want are flexible, right? To have a more flexible attitude and to be more adaptable, I think.
Yes, adaptability. I think it's, well, it makes life easier, much easier, and it's survival as well. You
Right.
know, you have in extreme cases, but also in like every day. You know, it's easier, and you life. The most important thing is, at least for us at this moment, for me at this moment, is it makes life much easier. You know, to try to be flexible,
Yes.
and also be flexible about yourself, you know, like we might at some point do things that had, or mental emotional habits that we thought we had deal with them and they were clear, and then suddenly something triggers, and you do things that you don't feel so proud about yourself. Well, I'll keep trying, you know. There's a phrase I use, you know, like uh like perseverance, patience, and joy. You know, like we keep trying and try again and try again. But so also like this flexibility to ourselves, because I think sometimes we are very more strict on ourselves. Oh, well, it changes, you know, but also to be flexible with others and with oneself about we make mistakes, we're human,
Mm.
and you might decide that something is good for you, and then for a moment you change your mind, as you said, and it's all right. We try again. We are very complex creatures, and
Yes.
And there are many circumstances. So yes.
You've mentioned a few times your work with youth, and so you're a passionate advocate for young musicians in Mexico, and you've worked for so many years, right, supporting young musicians. So thank you for that beautiful work that you do. And I had the joy of coming to class with you a few months ago and meeting some of them. And what a difference, like you say, this way of living can make, not just for professional artists and people studying the arts, but for all of us.
Yes, I think the Alexander technique is it's really something for your life, like this book by Pedro de Alcántara, A Skill for Life. Yes. It really is, it helps to well, for me to live a more profound, I don't find the word in English, plena, how
significant, fulfilled,
Yes. And so I am, and I like that about the Alexander technique, that as I see it, is that, for example, I was going to say, I'm very intense in joy and in sadness. There are moments like I feel a lot. So with the Alexander technique, I think we don't change people. We don't we only can change ourselves if we want, and it's not the aim. But it's like you still be yourself, but a more conscious self of yourself, So it's nice because it's not that I'm going to be a better person, I'm going to change, and I'm not going to get angry anymore. No, you might, but you're conscious of what you're doing. Then that really, for example, with anger, it really helps to not soften or not so profound, say things or do things that you regret afterwards. Like,
right.
I've noticed myself, thinking I'm really angry, I'm getting angry, and actually choosing to stay angry. Once I noticed, I said, no, this is really important. But then something changes, and I might be more, even it helps you to be clear. You can be instead of just probably repeating speech habits, the way we talk and we were told. So you can decide the message comes clear. And also, even I chose once, I remember, like, I already invested a lot of energy in this anger. I'm going to keep, but it wasn't like, you see, it was like spoiled a little bit, like, I want to be angry. It wasn't like I needed to be clear and firm. So it happens, It was a long time ago, but still, I chose. I had an option. I could stop being angry. I could it was important to be angry, or I choose. It's not important, but I am angry, and I'm going to respect my anger and this energy. I don't know.
Wow. Thank you so much. Yes. So the power of choosing, right? So good. Thank you. Yes.
Well, I hope it helps.
Yes, right. So yeah, we look forward to hearing if there's questions or comments. Is there anything in closing, anything else that you want to share?
Well, for people that come to these talks, that try to give themselves a chance to try it for longer, because it's really it has changed my life, the Alexander technique, and in conjunction with, for example, with your yoga classes and many other things, but and also like eating habits and sleeping habits, many things, but it really a wonderful path that you can take as long as you want, and we keep growing and growing, and I think we'll are in changing and moving and learning for as long as we live. I hope. I really hope that I can continue to learn and progress and be surrounded by beautiful people like you. And thank you very much for inviting me, and I hope it's useful and that it's clear, because with all this that we want to share so much, sometimes I might get too many information, but you can watch it again and
Exactly. Exactly. And they can send questions and they can find you, and we'll make sure that they have your information if people need to reach out directly to you. You're available for lessons, right?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Okay.
I'm
Wonderful.
glad. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh, it's a delight always. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.